Today on The Joy of Editing, I'm excited to tell you there's a brand new update for TK9. This is TK9 version 3, and today I'll show you my top 5 favorite new features. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome to The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'm so excited to tell you that TK9 version 3 is out. Man, there is a ton of new features in it. And just as a little teaser, I'm going to show you my top 5 favorite new features on today's video. And now let's take a look at my top 5 favorite new features in TK9 version 3. My top 5 are in no particular order, but the first one is pretty darn big, and that is button clicks can be recorded as action steps when recording an action using the Photoshop action panel. Now this is huge. To help us get started with TK9 version 3, Tony Kuiper has provided a lot of information for us. And what you see on the screen right now is all the updated features of TK9 version 3, and it starts out telling us about these new button clicks that we can record into Photoshop Actions. So check out these new updates. You'll be glad you did. Now, everything you see in yellow are the significant updates, but read through them all. You're going to be so impressed with all these new updates here in TK9 version 3. David Tillett has provided example Photoshop actions for us. Read through this documentation. It'll explain about his actions. Now, his actions take advantage of recording TK9 button clicks as part of the action. So you want to download these actions and load them into your Photoshop actions and try these out, and they will really speed up your workflow. He's given us some really excellent actions here. And a special shout out to David Tillett. Thank you, David, for all you do for TK9. And now here's something you're really going to want to look through and maybe print this out and have it by your side when you're working with the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, and that is the TK9 button modifiers compiled by Keith Simpson. Thank you, Keith, and David Tillett. Look at all this beautiful information. This is truly a labor of love from David Tillett and Keith Simpson. TK button modifiers. Great stuff. And just one last piece of information that is provided when you download the latest version of the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, and that is the entire instruction manual in PDF form. Don't forget to check it out too. It's a good read and I highly recommend it. Now, if we look right here, we'll notice this is the TK9 My Actions panel, and I have my Photoshop actions right here. Now, I must say this about the new ability to record TK9 button clicks into Photoshop actions. You will not be able to run them, at least at this point, from the TK9 My Actions panel. This is a Photoshop thing. Tony has nothing to do with this, but you can't run those from the My Actions. However, what you'll need to do is come and click on your Photoshop Actions button. This will open up your Photoshop Actions. Now, when you create the Photoshop action, you have to be in this mode that you see right here. And then if you want to run an action, you would click on the action and you would click play. But what I want to do is show you a much easier way of doing that. And it kind of mimics the TK9 My Actions, and that is something called button mode for Photoshop Actions. So you'll come up to your Actions hamburger menu, click on that, and then click button mode. And now you'll notice these are Photoshop actions, and all you have to do is click on the action to run the action, and you could color coordinate this and organize it. In other words, make it more user-friendly. Now, hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to place these actions inside of our TK9 My Actions panel. But for now, actions that have used recorded TK9 button clicks must be run from the Photoshop's action panel for now. Now, if you notice all these actions in red, these are David Tillett's actions, and you get these actions for free whenever you download the new version of the TK9 plugin for Photoshop. Now, a lot of these actions work with luminosity masks and so on. These actions in purple are, I believe, all blend if type actions, and then these actions in fuchsia are a lot of David Tillett's actions along with actions that I've created. I put them in a special folder gave them this color of fuchsia for quick and easy access. Today I won't show you how to record an action, but I'm sure that'll come in an up-and-coming TK Friday video at some point. Now let me show you the power of an action that was recorded with TK9 button clicks. If you watch my TK Friday videos, you know I like to start out my edits with a balance and contrast for sky and foreground, and it's kind of a involved thing to do. I got to save out a sky and foreground channel, intersect those with Midtones 3 masks, and output those to color grading tools. But now we can do it all with one click. And David Tillett made this action called BNC Landscape. That stands for Balance and Contrast Landscape. Now, with one click, I'll click this button. I have a foreground layer mask, a sky layer mask. They both have Midtones 3 applied to them, and a color grading tool. Isn't that cool with one click? And then I would come up to the color grading tool and maybe click on the midtone button, maybe warm it up. I'll click right here, and that drops a puck. I color graded a little warm, and maybe lighten up the midtones a little bit like that. And then I might come to shadows and darken up my shadows a little bit. You know what I do every TK Friday. I might come to the highlights and open up the highlights a little bit. Maybe give those a little bit of a warm color grade like that. And then I would come to the sky and work in the sky. But the big takeaway here is one button click, and I'm set up to do balance and contrast. Now here's an update to the color grading tool. It's not part of my top 5. But we can now, for the first time, reset our color pucks. We could reset brightness, and we could reset like shadows, midtones, or highlights, but we couldn't reset our color grading pucks. Now we can. All you need to do is right click on a color grading puck and it gets reset. That was the highlight. I'll right click on the midtone and now it gets reset. This is something new, but I just had to point that out to you. I'll show you one of my actions I made with TK button clicks, and that's this one here called Foliage Enhance. I'll click this action, and you'll notice I get a new layer called Foliage Enhance. It has a hue saturation adjustment layer with a color mask, and it's set for this saturation level, which I can change or readjust this hue. And by the way, this is a color mask created from that action. I'll shut off this foliage enhanced layer. Here's before. Now look at the grassy area, and here is after. And I did it all with one click of that foliage enhance action. Pretty cool. The ability to record button clicks into Photoshop actions is a game changer in my opinion, and let me know what you think in the comments section below. To open or close your Photoshop actions, just click this play button. I'm going to go ahead and close mine. And now I want to show you another new update. This is in my top 5, and it deals with the combo and CX panel. I'm going to click this X here to close down my TK actions, and I want to show you something new here. If you have a lot of real estate in your computer, you may want to keep your combo and CX panels both opened up. What I like to do is keep my combo panel opened up for all the buttons on it, and then click my TK action button on my CX panel, and always keep my actions open. Now, TK actions, after you click an action, will auto close by themselves. I'm going to X out of here. Here's a new feature. We could always shut off auto close, and to do that, we would come up here and click on the hamburger menu on either the combo or CX panel and uncheck auto close TK actions. And so whenever you ran an action, it would stay open. But if you close down Photoshop and reopen Photoshop, the TK actions wouldn't be open. Then you'd have to click on your TK action button again to keep it open for your new Photoshop session. But now I'm going to go ahead and click right here and uncheck auto close TK actions menu, and watch what happens. Automatically my actions open up. That's new. And also when you, again, shut down Photoshop, when you reopen it, this panel of TK actions will be opened on the CX module. Now that holds for the CX module as well as the combo, whichever you decide to use. And now for my third favorite new update feature, and that is blend mode brushes. Now on either the combo or CX panel, the soft light, overlay, screen, or multiply blend modes can be used as blend mode brushes. And to do that, hold your shift key down. For instance, I'm holding my shift key down. I'll click on multiply, and you'll notice I get a curves adjustment layer with a black mask in the multiply blend mode. And I can do things like, I have a nice big brush here, and I'm going to go to like 20% opacity. I'll type my 2 key. And maybe I just want to darken off the bottom of this image. I'm just going to paint across here like that. You see that with a nice soft feathered edge brush. I'll shut this off. Here's before and here's after. Or if you need to lighten an area, you can hold your shift key down and click on screen, and maybe I'll go to like 10%. I'll type my 1 key. Maybe I just want to lighten this area up right there. Now let's try this soft light blend mode brush. I'll hold my shift key down and click on this Right now I'm at 10% opacity. I'm going to take my opacity up to say like 80%. I'll type my 8 key. And with soft light, I can paint some beautiful contrast here and maybe pop some of the saturation up a little bit. So I'll just paint right across there. You see that? And sometimes a hand-painted mask is all you need. And don't forget, you can also get an overlay blend mode brush. It's similar to soft light, but a little stronger effect. But if you want more control, you can also apply a layer mask and paint through a selection. And to do that, come up to the multi-mask panel and pick out any one of these mask generation tools. For instance, let's say I want to darken some of the shadows here in the foreground. I'll click on the luminosity mask button and let's find a darks tone. Like here's darks 1. Here's darks 2. Now see these light areas, these are darker tones. And let's say we want to target these and make them a little darker. So what you need to do is come here, see this hamburger menu in the output section, click right here. And now we have our soft light, our screen, overlay, and multiply blend mode brushes. I want to darken, so I'll click on my multiply blend mode brush. And you can see I have a selection by the selection indicator targeting darks 2. And I have a white brush. I'm going to be painting on this layer mask through a selection. And right now I'm at 30% opacity. I think I'll go to like 40%. I'm going to type my 4 key so you can really see this. I'm just going to paint right across here. You see that? That's one pass. I lifted my brush. I'll paint again so you can really see that. The dark areas have gotten darker, right? Now let me shut this layer off. Here is before and here is after. Now if I click the double arrow button and there's the mask I created. Blend mode brushes. You'll find them on the combo or CX panel or also up in the multi-mask panel. And now on to my fourth favorite update in TK9. This one is called Blend Diff Targeted Zones, and I think you'll really enjoy this one. I know I do. On the multi-mask panel, curves, levels, or brightness contrast can all be used for blend diff targeted zones. You pick your adjustment of choice. I'm going to choose brightness contrast. So hold your shift key down on any one of these buttons. Hold the shift key down and click the button. I'm clicking the brightness contrast button. I get a group called adjust with zones. I can adjust zones 1 through 5. Now these are your darker zones down here in zone 1. They keep getting progressively lighter as you go up into zone 5. So think of the power you have here. You can adjust all these zone ranges. So for instance, on zone 1, here's my brightness contrast adjustment. I can take this brightness slider and drag it to the right to lighten up all those very dark tones, to lift those up a little bit. Maybe I would do that. Maybe give them a little bit of contrast. And then we could go to any one of these zones and make adjustments here. Let me go to the mid-tone area right here at zone 3. Maybe I want to lighten up those mid-tones just a little wee bit. Maybe take a little bit of contrast out of them. So we have 5 different zonal ranges we can adjust, and they're all inside of a group that you could shut that group off and see an overall before and after. So there you go, Blend Diff Targeted Zones, a great new feature. And finally, my 5th favorite feature in TK9 version 3. But first, I want to clean out my channels, because I'm going to make a couple new channels. So if you click this button on the combo panel, this is not new. Maybe you don't know about this. If you click this button, you'll get rid of all of your alpha channels. That would be channels that you've made. You also find the channel trash can on the CX panel too. Now, as I told you at the beginning, I always love to start out my TK Friday edits with a balance and contrast of sky and foreground, and I usually save the sky and foreground as a channel, but let me show you what is new here, and this is really cool. Before, we had to hold our command or control key down and click on the sky to save out the sky as a channel, hold the command or control key down and double click the sky to save the foreground as a channel. But now all we need to do is hold your shift key down and click the sky button, and you save out a sky and foreground as a channel that quick. If you want to save out a subject and a background as a channel, hold your shift key down and click on this button, and you saved out a subject and background as a channel. Now that is pretty darn cool. And if you think it is, let me know in the comments section below. I really appreciate this one. Thank you, Tony. Thanks for watching my top 5 favorite new features video today. Hey, if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Click that bell notification icon. Click all so that you'll receive all notifications. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.